your family have been part of the manufacturing industry in South Africa for decades, so you must have seen it go through all sorts of ebbs and troughs and highs and lows. Is this a sector in decline in South Africa?
Well, I think we've got to think about it as a decline in South Africa, but our group is involved internationally as well, because we are big exporters of glass, and we have interests in different parts of Africa, as well as our associates overseas in 34 countries. But the key issue is that since the decline that took place in 2007, 2008 really, it's hit us in two directions. One, this strong rand, and then we'll talk about that just now, why it's strong and going to get stronger, because there's nothing, in my view, that's going to stop the American dollar weakening, because that's about the only way they get out of their huge crisis that they're in. So that dollar is going to keep coming down, and as a result, we're going to get stronger, and we're going to hit a level of currency rates which make it just impossible for any industry to compete overseas, particularly when you're competing with the Chinese manufacturers who have got a controlled, state-controlled currency, which is relatively weak, and they're not moving on it, and yet also subsidized industries there. So we've got a new dynamic that was never faced before in the history of the group. I mean, we put in, because we were so positive about the growth in this country and the world. 5 years ago we made the decision, and we put in, which came into fruition about 2.5 years ago, 2 billion rand in new capacity. And we've now got a situation where we sit with the best production of glass, because it's all new technology available to the world, and our hands are tied. And not only are they tied in terms of the currency, but we've got costs rising here, uncontrolled by ourselves, be it wages, be it interest rates, energy costs, which is a big thing for a glass manufacturer. So we're facing enormous challenges. And the big issue is we can't, as a manufacturing industry, and therefore the creation of the manufacturing circle, which was developed so that we had a voice with government, because before we were only part of major industry sectors that covered more than just the manufacturing side. And so we hoped to set up, which we've done now, a public-private partnership. And I must give credit to the existing Minister of Trade and Industry and Minister Patel, who are very receptive and understanding of the problems. But we've got a disconnect between departments and other departments of government. So we're not, as a country together, looking to how we can compete, not only compete, to stay alive. We're losing jobs in the whole of the manufacturing sector, and companies are closing. So until we can get an integrated policy agreement, I think we're going to continue to have huge difficulties.
Well, I mean, you talked about the rand and inflation and interest rates. Now, there's nothing, as you said, that you can actually do to tackle the rand, because that dollar is going to weaken in your view going forward. So how do you then pull the manufacturing sector onto the doldrums, and how do you make South Africa more competitive in the face of a strong rand?
Well, we can't as a company, and we can't as an industry sector, because today even the WTO agreements aren't working. So self-interest is what's taking place around the world, so which means protectionism, which is a bad thing generally. But when you're looking to survive, you look to try and protect. But again, it needs government policy to look at issues of duty protections to protect local industry, give the local industry an opportunity for lower cost money. Let's look at the issue of availability of cash for a number of companies. And we don't need to do it just across the board. It can be selectively. But let's keep companies alive in the first instance and preserve jobs, never mind the issue of creating jobs. And then let's look at the issues that we can take the longer term view. But government has got this balancing act, and I can understand, because they're looking at controlling inflation. And the strong rand helps control inflation against the rising oil prices and other commodity prices. But you've got to find a way to also look after what you've got, your own home base. So it needs the type of togetherness.
What was your interaction with governments as the manufacturing circle been to date? And perhaps just expand on the protectionism that you're suggesting here.
Well, firstly, there's protectionism against dumping. But you know, the process takes about 18 months to resolve. So a quicker method of identifying dumping and taking market conditions so that you know for a fact. I mean, we're a producer of glass. We know what it costs. We know what it costs what it should cost the Chinese. But when glass is coming into this country, and I'm sorry if I'm just using my own group as an example, but it applies, I promise you, across the board, that glass is coming in 30 to 40% cheaper than our manufactured cost. Now, work that out. If that's not subsidization on the other side. Now, America and China are facing the same dilemma on these issues. The world is. So we've got new dynamics in the industry now, and I'm a great proponent, by the way, not only in the manufacturing sector, but I believe in our whole society, even on poverty and issues like that. Unless we work together as a uniform group, we're at war with poverty, we're at war with economic situation, etc. And when you're at war, what do? You bring all the vital components together that can make a difference. I'm afraid we've had very good reception at a level. We can't get it to the higher level to say, okay, how do we now, as a country together, with a uniform policy, do the best we can to save jobs, and then how do we create jobs? How do we create opportunities for export so that we've got the foreign exchange to develop as well?